Hi, everybody. Excited to be here and to talk to you all about what is new with paginated reporting and the Snapshot Export API. My name is Rahul Ishwar. I'm a senior product manager with Amazon QuickSight. I was responsible for the launch of paginated reporting almost a year ago at this point at reInvent in 2022. And I'm joined today with Vetri. Vetri, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi all, this is Vetri. I'm the QuickSight solution architect. I've been with AWS for the past 2 years and with the QuickSight team as well. So happy to be here talking about some of the new features and how you can leverage the QuickSight Snapshot API. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Vetri. All right. So I'm not sure how many of you are already familiar with paginated reporting, or if this is relatively new, but I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to talk about what is paginated reporting, what is the value add, and what we've been up to this year as well. So what we're able to see is paginated reporting lives within Amazon QuickSight. It is a separate add-on, meaning it's a separate pricing structure, but it's an add-on service that complements and builds upon what Amazon QuickSight already offers. The key distinction and the way I kind of think about it is that within Amazon QuickSight, we already did dashboards really well, right? So the ability for users to interact with the data, being able to create and slice and dice the information was always existing. But what we heard from customers was the need to be able to address the operational reporting space. So if you kind of think back to your own personal lives, you get electricity bills, you get bank statements, you get invoices, right? Those are all examples where you're not necessarily slicing and dicing the information, but you expect the information to be in a certain format, be in a certain way, right? So if you think about your phone bill, the first page is typically a summary of your charges, and then you have multiple pages subsequent to that with all the individual call details and text message details, etc. So it follows the same format month over month, and you expect the same look and feel. And that's what Amazon QuickSight Paginated Reporting offers now. The nice benefit of Paginated Reporting is that we started with the cloud first, right? So we're able to scale as customer and use cases demand it. And with that scale, we're able to expand to use cases, whether it be concentrated at the end of the month, end of the quarter, when typically we see that demand for these type of reports is very high, right? So you don't have to always scale up to meet those needs. You kind of leave that to QuickSight to kind of take care of that. So that's kind of where that fully managed service comes in. As these new features are developed by our team, we roll those out and it's kind of a seamless experience. And it's super easy to get started, right? So if you're able to build a dashboard today, the tenet or the goal was that you were able to build a report equally easily, right? You're able to take advantage of some net new capabilities and functionalities. So the key distinction is when you think about a dashboard today, it is a single page output. And as you can kind of see in this video here, it's a multi-page formatted, that entire table is shown, right? And as if you kind of notice as well, there are some kind of slight nuances and uniqueness that is also a part of this output, inclusive of like a header and footer, right? You got a page number, you got a logo on the top that's repeated on every single page. And as I mentioned, we're leveraging the same authoring experience, right? So if you're able to build a dashboard today, you're actually able to leverage all of those same visual types. You're able to use that same drag and drop functionality, that web interface that everybody loves, and the ease of being able to build all these out. But it doesn't stop with just the authoring ease of use. It also extends to the user and the reader as well, right? So the unified consumption experience plays a big role in making it a seamless experience. So as a reader, when I log in and I open up a dashboard, I don't have to make a choice between, hey, am I looking at a dashboard or am I looking at a report? You're actually able to see them side by side. And when I show you a demo, you'll kind of see what I mean by that. So it makes that, and it's a very unique value proposition, I might add, in the marketplace today, where you are able to not only author together, but also consume both the contents together, side by side. So that's kind of just a very high level, what is paginated reporting, what is the value add? I want to kind of now go into what have we been up to this year, right? So as I mentioned, we launched a reInvent last year. And since then, we have been rolling out net new features specifically focused on what our customers are asking for. So we launched with, in reInvent, the ability to export PDF and CSV. And what was immediately apparent is that everybody wanted to also export to Excel. And and this is kind of like not only export the data, but also preserve the formatting as well, which is kind of a key component of why you would use Excel versus CSV. So with that, what we rolled out for paginated reporting customers is the ability to schedule the export of Excel. It's still going to be restricted to tables and pivot tables, but that's the primary use case that we've heard. And as part of being able to export that out, you're also able to preserve certain characteristics or certain formatting. And one of the key ones is the ability to kind of have that the row the column width preservation was a big one, as well as for text to actually wrap automatically. So that way your full contents is visible right out of the gate. You can also see in this particular example the headers and the cells, and there's some additional formatting that is preserved, but those were some of the key ones which usually had users and customers asking for Excel versus CSV. We didn't stop there, so we kind of continued the expansion and building out on advanced schedule features. So we kind of go to the next one. Here, what we heard was that our schedule capability, again, being vocally self-critical, was not the best, right? In terms of didn't offer all the capabilities that you would be accustomed to, even if you're setting up a meeting or you're setting up a kind of a recurring invite. So what we did there was we kind of double down on this area. So you can see in this particular example, you're now able to create a schedule for a weekly that repeats bi-monthly, let's say every 2 weeks, and it's on every month Friday, or in this example Friday, but you could do like Monday and Friday, right? You could do the same thing with your monthly reports. So think again back to your financial use case. Hey, I want to be able to schedule this for close. So when the last Friday of the month hits, I want to now be able to send these schedules out. We're also offering the ability to do a custom schedule, whereby you're able to specifically pick certain dates of the year in which these schedules should run. Along with all of this, obviously, is the inherent ability to create up to 5 schedules per dashboard. And for paginated reporting customers, you're able to store and retain the content that is generated for up to a year, right? So you're able to go back and see what did this content look like a year ago, which is pretty powerful. So with that, I will take over screen share real quick. I just wanted to kind of show you what this looks like. And hopefully you're all able to see my screen. So I'm gonna, I already have some of these pre-built, but I just wanted to kind of walk through that experience just to kind of show you what that looks like in practice, right? So here, when I'm opening up this view, this is analysis where I'm, as an author, I'm able to build out my content. You can see this first tab is a dashboard, right? So it looks pretty familiar, I hope, right? You're able to kind of build these out. But as a paginated reporting subscriber, I have this option where I can duplicate to report, which saves me a lot of time and effort, where I don't have to duplicate each visual one by one. I'm able to copy them all over. From here, I have the option to add this concept of sections, right? So I'm able to move things around. You can see that I'm able to drag and drop visuals. In addition, I'm able to adjust the orientation as well, so I can take advantage of some more room and real estate. I'm able to adjust the paper size. I'm able to adjust margins. So that way you're able to conform to how this should look on a PDF. From here, you can see that I can, again, using this familiar authoring concepts that we have with dashboards, you're able to leverage the same here. And deleting, dragging, dropping content across the board. Here you can see that we have a dedicated header and footer section, right? So here, if I added a text visual, which kind of makes sense, I have the concept of being able to add, let's say, page numbers. And it's pre-built, so it makes my life a lot easier. And I can just keep that in here, like so. So you can see that I'm pretty quickly, especially kind of leveraging a dashboard that I already have, be able to build out a formatted report. And this report may look something like this, right? I am now able to create content and visuals like this. But it doesn't stop there, right? So when we kind of talk about that co-authoring experience, that's kind of that big value there. But now let's look at what it looks like from the reader perspective. So as a reader, I'm able to come in, I'm opened up this dashboard, and you can see that again, this is the familiar dashboard that they're accustomed to seeing. I'm able to slice and dice, I'm able to kind of navigate and do all these actions that I would typically do. But let's say in this particular example, I want an output that is scheduled every so often, right? In that particular case, I would then be able to create my schedules from here on demand monthly, and I'm able to create additional schedules. And when I'm creating these schedules, I'm also able to pick from any variety of these content types as well, whether it be PDF, CSV, or Excel, or all the above. From here, I'm able to select across the different sheets, right? So it's not restricted to only Paginated report sheets, but I'm able to select visuals across different sheets. The dates that we kind of talked about. So now let's say I want to do this monthly on the last Saturday of every month. I want to send this out. And you're able to kind of create that view really quickly. From here, I'm able to specify whom it should be sent out to, and also should the output be attached like so to the email, or should we be sending it as a download link if privacy, security, etc. is a concern. So from here, we're able to then create these schedules, be able to publish them, send them out, and then I'm also able to come back in and retrieve the content up to a year, as I mentioned before. So now you're able to kind of come back in and see, hey, what did this look like? And I'm able to download this locally and be able to see what that output is. With that, I wanted to kind of actually turn it over to Vetri at this point. So we wanted to kind of talk about the other cool feature that we recently launched, which is the Snapshot Export API. And here we're kind of primarily focused on the use case for customers where they're not just looking to kind of schedule these on a one-off basis, but rather focus on being able to create these reports and distribute these reports at scale, right? And I think that's where the true power of pageant reporting comes in, where in the student example, it worked for one student, but imagine you're a college or you imagine you're a company with 1,000 employees. You don't want to sit there and do that on a one-by-one basis, right? You want this programmatically to be running in the background and spit out 1,000 output PDFs formatted the same way, but customized for each recipient. And then from there, you can kind of distribute it. So, Vetri, I don't know if you want to take over from here and we can kind of talk about that part.
Thank you, Rahul. So let me share my screen and walk you through one of the demos that we have put together on how to scale a generation of reports using the Snapshot API. And I will also walk through on the flow of API calls that you can make in order to achieve that same. So I hope you are able to see the screen. So So when we introduced the Snapshot API, or the need for our customers to generate this paginated PDF with all the features that Rahul has mentioned, but for other users who doesn't reside within QuickSight. So this is generally an use case where you have the number of users are in thousands or hundreds of thousands. You do not want to manage all these users within QuickSight, right? And so you should be able to generate these reports using the API whenever the user requires that report. Right? So there are three important APIs that are available in order for you to achieve or generate these PDFs using APIs. So the first one is start snapshot dashboard snapshot job, which basically will help you in triggering the creation of the paginated report with all the details required. And then once the job is triggered, it is basically it's basically an asynchronous job. So when this job is successfully triggered, then you would use the describe dashboard snapshot job API in order to check the status of the job that is running. And once the snapshot or the paginated report generation is complete, then you would use the describes dashboard snapshot job result to get the details of where the file is located and how you can fetch it. Right. So first, let us look at an use case where I will demonstrate how you can build an application for non-QuickSight users and let them be able to generate the snapshot or the paginated report on demand. And there are some few considerations that you have to make, and we will see how other features of QuickSight will help you in achieving that. So if you look at this demo, so assume that this is an application that you have enabled for your end users who are authenticated to use this app and download some of the reports. Say, for example, in this case, I'm one of the customer call agent who is trying to find out what is how the customer calls have been, and trying to figure out the customers who are at the risk of churn, or customers or the calls that are at the risk of churn, right? So assume that this is an report that I want to download, right? Whenever you create and uses within QuickSight, you know that you can apply row level security for that particular user based on the role that the user is signed up for and the group that user belongs to, right? But however, when you do not manage these users in QuickSight, then you will have to somehow ensure that the users are able to select some of the parameters, right? So these are all the on-demand parameters that the users can pass when they try to create the paginated report using the Snapshot API. So in order for you to get only the applicable values that the user can select, what we are doing here is that we are embedding a dashboard with all the parameters that are applicable for that particular user and the values that are applicable for this particular user, right? And here we are using the anonymous embedding, where you can embed the dashboard parameter page or a sheet within a dashboard that lets the user select the required parameters. Say, for example, here I want to select only the customers who are at the risk of churn, and also I want to reduce the numbers to, say, example 50, and I'm going to choose say, for example, either PDF or CSV. I get to choose it, and in this case assume that I'm going to choose a CSV. And if you look at this one, so we embedded a dashboard and we captured the parameter that the user has selected using our embedding capabilities. So here I have selected all the details in the form of a parameter on the left. So what of the selection that I make here will change the count here. So this way, from the QuickSight dashboard, my application is able to capture what are all the parameters that this particular user has selected. Right? And then I'm going to generate the snapshot. So whenever I click the generate snapshot, what is going to happen is that we are going to trigger the first API, which is to start the job. Right? And so now from the user standpoint, I can go ahead and click on my downloads. And let me refresh here. And you can see that one of the downloads that I recently submitted is available here, right? So whenever the download gets taken by my backend job and then the snapshots are executed, then you will see a change in status here, basically navigating through different status. So when say this the status is submitted, it basically is there in the queue for the job to be executed. And whenever my backend picks up the job, picks up the request, and then starts the Snapshot API job, then it will turn into the status of running, right? And in this case, I guess it got completed much faster. And then you can actually go ahead and then download the report. And I can save it here. If you look at it, I got all the reports, the entire report downloaded in the form of a CSV, and it's available for me. So right now, so this is basically how you can use the Snapshot API to, to create on-demand reports, either in the form of a PDF or in the form of Excel or in the form of the CSV, and have it available for users who even doesn't exist within QuickSight, right? So this way you can create reports based on the parameters selected by the user at scale and distribute it the way that you want, right? So now let us look at the backend working of how this entire flow is happening. So if you look at this diagram, this is basically telling you how the overall flow of events happening that helps you, that navigates or that gets the user from submitting the job and finally ending up in getting the downloaded or the created report, either in the form of a PDF or in the form of a CSV or Excel. So first, what happens is that as the user submits the report details through the browser, the report details are sent to the server, which is my backend. And whenever my backend picks up the report, it basically calls the start dashboard snapshot job API and submits the job request to QuickSight. So whenever this job request is successful, it sends a status 202 that basically tells my server side that the report was successfully completed. So I have to use some mechanism here to store the list of snapshots that I just submitted to QuickSight so that I can track it. Right? So once this snapshot API is successfully created, then I send that message back to the browser. That is where you saw that the list of reports that were submitted and the list of reports that were running. Right? Once that is done, what happens is that you will be able to again execute the describe dashboard snapshot API at regular intervals. So if you look at this one, you are looping on this particular API until the job is completed, or say the job has some failure, right? So you would keep polling QuickSight with describe dashboard snapshot job API until you see either a completed status or a failure status, right? But by the time you see a completed status for this job, which means that the report is successfully generated, right? So when this job, for this API call, you get the status of completed, then it means that the job is successfully done. And then you will move on to the next step where your server side will again call describe dashboard snapshot job result, right? So this is a synchronous API call, right? So once you send this request, it gives you the job status and also the report location, where the particular report is located, right? So typically, you have an option in this Snapshot API job to send the report either to a S3 bucket in your account. So in this case, the S3, the file is generated and published or placed in the S3 location of the customer's S3 bucket, right? So once this is done, you will also see the status completed, right? So once the server sees that the job is completed, it updates the status and sends it back to the user. So when the user sees the job is completed, then since it is in S3 bucket, what you can do is that you can generate a pre-signed URL for that particular location or for the particular file, and then have the user download that file from using that URL. So in this way, you should be able to leverage the Snapshot API, not only to generate the PDF reports, but also distribute it the way that you want at scale, even to the users who reside outside of QuickSight. So with that, we complete the demonstration of the Snapshot API, which is one of the latest releases in the Paginated report.